Well, good morning and welcome. I think it's like our special edition spring break version. We're glad that you're here. It may not be as fun as the beach or the mountains, but we're going to have a good time. Glad you're here. I don't know about you guys if you've ever fallen into this, but I got lured into social media videos where the algorithm just keeps working on you. And it started out, somehow the algorithm figured out that I like animals. And so it started showing me all these animal things. And then eventually it figured out that I like animals being rescued. So then we started seeing animals being rescued, mama bears doing all kind of crazy stuff to protect their cubs. And then at some point the algorithm figures out that, well, if he likes that, maybe he'll like watching human mothers do extraordinary things to protect their children. And then I started getting those videos. Like the one that just still stands out of my mind is like this little 5-year-old boy who goes outside his door somewhere and there's a rabid raccoon about to attack him, is foaming at the mouth, and he screams, and the mom comes running out, and she doesn't hesitate at all, and she grabs this rabid raccoon by the scruff of the neck and throws it like 20 yards. And I was like, oh, wow. Like all the things that go on, and I've deleted that particular one off my phone now. But if it had kept going, I feel like it would have gone to lots of animals, and sooner or later I would have gotten to a chicken. And chickens, I think, are funny. I mean, they look funny, they walk funny, they do like unusual things. And I think a lot of y'all know that I was raised in part on a ranch down in South Texas, and so I know I do love animals and like all this, and I know some things about chickens along the way too. And one of the most interesting moments for me in ministry was many years ago. I was on a mission trip, and we were down in Honduras, and the mission team was working in a really rural area. And so we parked the bus where we were, and there were all these chickens around there. And I was having these conversations during the day talking about these chickens, talking about some of the weird things they do. And I was telling everybody how I could hypnotize a chicken. And everybody was like, yeah, I know, we're not buying this. And then so at the end of the day, everybody gets on the bus. We've got 25 team members on the bus, and there's some chicken running around the bus. And everybody's like, prove it. So I get off the bus right before we leave, and I do this thing. And if you've never seen it, you can go verify this on YouTube. But I reached down and I caught this chicken. And if you grab the chicken and if you go on like a solid line like this and you set him down, making him straddle a dark line, it hypnotizes them. I don't know evolution-wise if they think it's a snake. I don't know what it is, but they'll just sit there like that. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, he wasn't lying. That was a real deal. They do lots of really interesting things. One of the other behavioral things you may or may not know is whenever there is danger around, the mother hen will open up her wings and put in all the chicks and protect them that way. And believe it or not, today's sermon, I want to do a meditation on that. That's what I want to talk about today. And unless you think I'm just picking barnyard animals willy-nilly on this. The reason why I'm going after this, if you got it when Nate read our gospel a minute ago, is it references Jesus talking about being a mother hen who wished he could gather the chicks the people in Jerusalem. And so I want to go there. And you look at this passage and you ask, well, what's going on in this passage? Well, just like to go back to it, you've got this passage, which it is kind of weird in lots of different ways, because you got the Pharisees, who are normally Jesus' enemies, coming to Jesus and saying, you got to be cautious because Herod is out to kill you now. And Jesus answers back saying, yeah, that fox, it's not my time. This is going to happen. I'll say more on it in a few minutes. And then he does this lament for Jerusalem, basically saying how much he loves Jerusalem and how much he wishes he could have been like the mother hen, taking him under the wings of the hen. And, if you didn't see, I titled today's sermon, Chicken, with a question mark and an exclamation point. And I've had lots of questions about what this sermon was going to be about. And that's not what we normally kind of think about as a noble kind of thing. I get it. When we think about Jesus, we normally think about noble, reverent, strong kind of titles and images. We think about the Good Shepherd. We think about the bread of life. We think about the light of the world. We think about the Lamb of God. We have all these, sort of wonderful images that we have. But really, in one of the most heartfelt laments that we get in the Bible today, we get Jesus as a mother hen protecting chicks. It's not a soaring, glorious eagle. It's not a lion roaring and roaming. It's a chicken. And you don't see many stained glass windows that have Jesus as a chicken, as a mother hen. But what a great image it is. It's a potent image. And I want us to pause and think about it because it doesn't come up that much. And I want us to reflect on this image. And I've got a number of dimensions that I want us to bring up for us to think about. The first of which maybe is to think about the images that we put into our own minds about God. How we image, how we imagine, how we think about God, and all the different ways that we do that. We get this, like I say, image that we don't often get today, thinking about Jesus as a mother hen with chicks, but all the different ways we view it. And our faith is based on facts of a revealed faith. We have revealed facts. We have a God who entered into our world, who took on flesh in a particular time, in a particular place, in a particular culture. As the ultimate revelation of God, it is this revealed in time and space. And if you look back and you read about Jesus, you get that he's always pushing these boundaries, that he's stretching things as far as they can go. But when he appears in time and space, he appears as a human, as a male. And that's the imagery we oftentimes get. And of course, before that as well, in these patriarchal societies, it's God the Father. It's Jesus, this one that's walking. And it's the particularity of his revelation that I think we hold that, right? But if we put on our theologian hats for a minute, we get that God transcends gender. Full stop. And when we do this language that we do, to me it's a placeholder that we have a God that entered into history under certain circumstances and certain conditions. And so that's what it reminds me of. But today, we get a broader picture. Today we get Jesus himself likening him to what it would be to be a mother hen protecting the chicks. And I think it's such a powerful image of love. And I think it's a lot more than even the mom grabbing that raccoon without hesitation that has rabies and throwing it, 20 yards out into the yard. There's such a powerful image of God's love that we don't always think about. And I think it's a healing love. We think about that kind of love surrounding us, holding us, pursuing us, walking with us. And I'm not out to try to change a whole bunch of stuff, but I do want us to have a big, big image of God, bigger than we sometimes have, to let it go bigger. And I think part of this image is that. It's such profound love to think about that kind of maternal love for us by God. And so I want us to reflect on that, but there are a couple other dimensions where I want us to go. As we dig down deeper on this image of a mother hen, we get that the mother hen does this in all kinds of situations of danger. And in this passage, we get that one of the ways that the mother hen does that is when there's a predator. And we get in the same passage Herod being called a fox. And I want to just remind you of that language. This is where it says, "Go and tell that fox that I will keep on driving out demons and healing people today and tomorrow and the third day, and I'll reach my goal." Like whatever there is about this, the threat being posed by Herod, the fox, or any of these other things, Jesus is not only standing up to him, but saying, I'll protect in a way. I'll go deeper in that in a minute. So far, we've had Herod in Jesus' adult ministry being sort of a shadow, but here he is kind of directly coming into the picture. He's out to kill you. And Jesus speaks with contempt for him, but is really kind of right back at it, saying, no, that's not my destiny. My destiny is not to die here in that way. I've got work to do. I'm going to cast out the demons. I'm going to do it tomorrow, the day after that, and then I'll finish up on the third day. And you get this, how all these pictures are coming together. Like Jesus, as a boy, had been lost in the temple for 3 days. And so it echoing back. And you know he's going to be resurrected on the third day, and you get what's coming. All of that with these 3 days that he's referencing. And that we're not going to worry about that fox. That's not Jesus' destiny. I'm going to Jerusalem. I'm going to finish my mission here, and I'm going on to Jerusalem. And I'm going to protect you from that fox. We're not going to worry about him. And the third sort of dimension I want to mention about thinking about this image of Jesus as the mother hen is to think about how the mother hen doesn't just protect from predators, but also from dangerous situations. If you go today and you were to search on the internet images of a hen protecting her chicks, you're going to see the most common picture is going to be the mother hen down with her wings over her chicks, protecting them from the rain. But it's all these different kinds of dangerous situations. And you get one of these is actually going to also be fire. And you think about this time, it doesn't mention fire in the passage, but we can kind of image it for a second. Fire was a really, really big deal back in this time because you've got people building houses that are in no way made to resist fires. You got no fire department that's going to show up in front of your house. You have all that stuff going on, and you get things like in 64, the year 64, when Rome has a fire that burns for a week and half of Rome gets burned to the ground. You have that stuff going on. And the image of the mother hen is one who protects from that kind of stuff too. They've got these stories and factual evidence of where a barn catches on fire, and when it's over, they find the burned mother hen and the live chicks under her wings. That's the same kind of imagery we have. And part of Jesus' lament, part of the pain and emotion that you feel in that passage is that he wants to do that protection from all the stuff that's going on and from all the disease and consequences of sins and things. He wants to do this, and the chicks in Jerusalem just run. They're not willing to come under the wings of the love and the protection that's being offered. He's going to take the full brunt of this disastrous situation, and they're not going to have it. Well, as we continue on in this season of Lent, I think there are a number of things for us to reflect on this, and I want to go there, but it's like part of the invitation of Lent is for you to spend time reflecting on your brokenness and your sinfulness, but it's always done in the context of God's deep love, mercy, and grace. The kind that we can, this image of love of the mother hen putting her wings around her chicks. An invitation for you as you continue on in Lent is to reflect on that kind of love as you also think about your brokenness and your sinfulness, and to be mindful of holding that place. We should never reflect on those things without remembering God's love. And I'm always mindful that as we start the season of Lent, it's this dark moment when we're mindful of our sinfulness and we're putting ashes on our foreheads and we're repenting, doing all this. But the ashes are always made in the symbol of the cross, reminding us, even as we think about our mortality and our sinfulness, that the symbol that represents the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus is made on our foreheads. It's marking us with His grace. So we want to always hold these things together and reflect on that deep love. I want to end today's sermon with a prayer that's way back. This is a prayer that was written by St. Clare in the 12th century. And it's a prayer that, if you don't know St. Clare, she was a contemporary and colleague of St. Francis. And when St. Francis got his whole thing going, she formed the version that was available for nuns. And so she was really close to Francis that way. And on her deathbed, she put out a prayer that was a prayer of blessing. And I'm going to end with this. Your Creator has made you holy, has always protected you, and loves you as a mother. Go in peace to follow the good road, and may God's blessing be with you always. Amen.